are at our most recent deck project. It's an all composite deck project. Kind of a little unique thing that they wanted done is they had some other railings around their house that were all wood that they wanted also to match the deck. So we had to get a little creative on these posts to anchor them into the concrete here. So these are actually notched out around the corner if you can't see, and then we had to stick a little extra piece in here so you didn't see any wood. So it's still all composite, but we had to get a little creative, and Adrian and Dave did a killer job at making those railings look the way they should. And then the same thing on here. So if you can see, it's tying into a brick ledger on the side. So we got a 4x4 post behind here that's tied into this brick, and then we had to rip down a sleeve, you know, the back part of this sleeve, and fasten it so that it looked like a completely composite post. So a little different way of fastening things and doing it, but we wanted it to match the deck. So I'll take you around to the deck. So they used to have a little bit smaller deck, and it was old, it was cedar, it was falling apart, and they never wanted to have to mess with it again. So if you can see behind me, it's extended out quite a bit more than their house. So the old deck was literally just resting on top of the concrete here. You can kind of see the spot where it was. So it was just resting on top of this concrete slab. So that pushed this slab down, and in turn made some cracks and moved this foundation. So when we went to put a new one in, I said, well, let's not put any more weight on this foundation and not cut any more holes out. So let's move it out. So what we did is we moved it out another 5 feet, and then we dug some big old footings down here. They're about 24 inches wide by about 3 foot deep. And then what we did is on top of that, we put this gigantic glulam beam up here. So this is what a glulam beam means, is there's 2x6s that are all glued together on top of each other. And then this is treated so it can be outside. And this is going to be way stronger than any regular treated lumber, and it's going to last a lot longer, and it could do this spanned a lot easier. So it's spanned all the way across the deck, and it's never going to go anywhere. So then another unique thing, since we are 20 feet away from the house, we're using 2x12 joists, but we're actually using them on 12-inch centers. Normally it's 16 inches on center every joist, but this one we're doing 12 because of how long the span is. So this deck is as heavy as you can build it. I think we figured out, what was it? How many tons is the deck?
6 tons.
It's like a 6-ton deck. So you could land your helicopter on it, or as Dave would say, you could have your pet elephant jump around on it. So this is the grand staircase, as we would like to call it. Since there's 2 deck angles at the top of this, we wanted the stairs to come down at the same angles that these come down at. And Adrian will make his grand entrance down the stairs. And so we built them a bunch wider than normal stairs, so these are about 6 foot wide. And then that enabled us to go up and around and follow the curves of the deck. So another little detail that we like to do is any of these open cuts here, we actually get a paint match from Sherwin-Williams, and then we just paint these ends so it doesn't look like the composite. So any corners that are open-ended, they get painted so that they match. It's a small detail, but the details matter when it's going against, especially against a black post and a brown railing. You don't want to see this random gray color that the composite is. So that's just a super easy way to clean up that end. Not only is this stair set wider and it's landing on all of these footings, but these are every foot. So these are only a foot apart. So these are what's called stair stringers. So a lot of times we'll see on decks is this whole space, which is about 3 foot, this whole space only has these 2 on the outside, and they run the boards between it. So that board in the middle is going to bow every time you step on it. So this is another way we eliminate that feeling. We use a little extra material, a little extra boards, but it's going to make this staircase way stronger and last a lot longer. All of these stair treads got face pieces, and then they got skirt boards, so it's all composite, it's all covered, you don't see any edges on it. So then when you come up here, instead of having butt joints where 2 deck boards meet, we decided to put a border around all the way around the outside. of a different color, so it's kind of an accent, kind of a picture frame around it. So that way there's no butt joints, because anytime you have a butt joint, when it's going to heat and cool, those joints are going to pull apart sometimes. So what we decided to do is do a picture frame all around it, so that way when those joints come together, they're going to stay tight. So, and this is also using the TimberTech hidden fastener system. So if you're looking at the top of the deck here, you can't see any screws. So it's a really, really clean look. You can see all the grain in the TimberTech. And if you ever need to pull a board out, you can stick a drill bit in right here, and you can pop a board out too if you want. It's just a cleaner look. With that picture frame up top, so that dark border all the way around, that accent, so that means that we have to change a little bit of framing to make sure that board is fastened properly. So right down the middle, we got that board. So we had to block every single foot to make sure that board didn't have any wave in it. So if you see some of these boards on the bottom are a little lower or a little higher, that's okay, because we wanted to make sure that board on top was perfectly straight. And so that's how we have to do that, is we got to block in that joist cavity where that board sits on top of and screw down to these blockings, or else that board would just fall straight through basically. So it's just another little detail that you don't understand sometimes. When you change a design on something, you got to make sure you take into account not only where it's fastened, but how it's fastened. So the number one complaint I get when I go and meet somebody for a new deck project is their stairs scare them. They're normally wobbly, the spacing on the stairs is too much, so the boards are bowing, and they're normally scared of their stairs. So whenever we build stairs, we add in some seriously heavy duty posts, some real footings, and that way when you walk on this thing, you're not going to get it to move, and it's not going to scare you when you walk up and down it. So that's just a little detail that I always get when I go look at a deck, is somebody's like, well, the deck's okay, but the stairs that go down it scare me every time, and I'm scared for my kids to go down it. So this is one way we make sure that doesn't happen.